Okay, so from yesterday, how many of you felt comfortable when you left that, okay, I feel like I got a good start on this, and this is all right so far? And so how many of you were so-so? And if regardless, we'll continue to move forward and make sure we're all on the same page here. Okay, so if you know what a molar mass is, you're already well over halfway, probably 80% of the way of understanding what we're going through. Okay, so what might a molar mass be? What would be the best way to describe what a molar mass is? Say that again. It is, but for instance, if we had, we'll keep it simple, hydrochloric acid or hydrogen chloride, what might the molar mass of that be? You're adding together something. Not the atomic number. The atomic masses of each. So, when you find the molar mass of that compound, you're well over halfway to understanding this. So, what we had done is worked on page 85 and did a couple of examples. Okay? So, we changed that of moles to a mass. All right? So, in certain cases, as what we see on the bottom of page 85, okay, we see, for instance, on practice problem number 1, it says how many moles of calcium are found in 5 grams of calcium. Okay, so there's only one place that you can start. You have one starting number, okay, and that would be what, according to practice problem number 1? There's only one number you're given, 5 grams, okay? So if we have 5 grams of calcium, okay, we want that to cancel out in our second step. We're on step 1, so when we go to step 2, how do we get that gram to cancel out? Put it on the bottom, and what number would that be? We're not just going to grab it out of the air and just make it up. Not, did you say atomic number? Yeah, the atomic mass. Okay? So, we established this, grams of calcium. Okay? Then moles would go up here. And again, this would be an example of a molar mass. They're either measured, yesterday they were measured in grams per mole. Okay? How do we see this molar mass is going to be used today? It's not grams per mole, it's what instead? Moles per gram. You may flip-flop that fraction depending upon what it is you're starting with, whether you're starting with grams or moles. So, the molar mass for calcium would be how much? Look at element number 20 over there. 40 point. Is it 01 or 10? Okay? So that is the molar mass, or the atomic mass, for calcium. Every time you get 40.10 grams of calcium, you would have 1 mole of that. So, what happens to the label of these grams? They cancel each other. Cross them off. Okay? And we're left with what? We're left with what? Moles. And what did the question ask? It said, how many moles of calcium? So once we've got to this step, we know that we're done. Okay? So if numbers are next to each other, what do? Multiply. But if one's on top and one's on the bottom, we would divide. That's right. And according to this, we should get 0.13 or 0.125. Does that sound about right? Dividing 5 by 40. Point 124. So, yes? Okay. I see some people nodding yes. All right, good. So you've got to say something if we're going too fast, or if you don't know why a certain number is in a certain spot, please say something. We're left with moles of calcium. So we've got 0.12 mole calcium, because that's what the question was asking. How many moles of calcium are found in 5 grams? So we started with the 5 divided by the molar mass of that, 40, and we're left with moles. Okay. Left outside. You good? Going yes. Left middle. We're good. Middle. Okay. Right middle. Right outside. Okay. Do you feel you'd like to see another example of that? Okay. So number 2 or number 3? All right. Number 2 says how many moles of gold are found in, or I should say, how many moles of gold are in 3.60 times 10 to the negative 5th grams of gold. Okay? So, go ahead and erase this here. So, we only have one number to start with, and that is what? The problem says 3.60 times, okay? And is that grams or moles of gold? It's actually grams. Okay. We see where this number came from, correct? Because we're all on page 85. Is it 89? Page 85. So this is where we're starting. Okay? So, how do we get this gram to cancel in the next step? Put it on the bottom. So, grams of what? Okay? And then what would go on top? Remember, it's a molar mass. So, here's your mass. So, what's left over is the what? The mole. Yeah, molar mass. So, we got a mole of gold. Okay? So, we have a space here. So, a number has to go there. We just don't grab it out of the air. We're getting that from A, or your periodic table, which is what for gold? Element 79. 196. Okay. So we know where this number came from. It was given in the problem. Is anyone confused where this number came from? Okay. So again, if we're not understanding this and we're not asking you, you're not doing yourself any favors. Okay. So, are we done at this point? What do we have left to do? I mean, you could say yes, you could say no, because what do these grams of gold do with one another? They cancel each other out. What are we left with up here? Moles, and what were we looking for? Moles. Okay? So, with these two numbers, okay, I'm glad this is in scientific notation so we can all get that written in there correctly. We have that's right. Okay. at a 1.83 times 10 to the negative 7th. Does that sound right? I see some people nodding yes. Okay, so for those of you calculator like this, okay, punch in 3.60, okay, and then hit the second button, and then look on your calculator for, looks like a double E. Okay, it's above the x to the negative first sign. So that one, yep. And for yourself, I believe it is second in that one. Yep. Then you hit negative 7. Okay. Second in that one. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the answer. Negative 5. Yep. To the negative. No. Once you hit 3.60, you hit that second button. Then when you see there should be an E that pops up, then you just hit negative 5. Yep. Then you just divide by 196, enter. Okay. Okay. So it didn't put in scientific notation for you. You got the right answer. It's just written differently. Okay. So what you see happening is this. A lot of you are getting this answer. So this is what's popping up on your calculator, right? So what this is saying, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1.83 times 10 to the negative 7. Okay? So again, I understand we're going fast, but, okay? He must be, okay, now divide by, there we go. Okay, negative 5th, 96. Don't like grabbing things. Okay. So this is a little different then. Oh, I was just coming to talk to yourself. No thanks.
I just times it by 10 to the negative fifth, like just what it says. 3.6 times 10 to the negative fifth. I just wrote it all out and divided it.
So we need to put times.
Instead of using the
I
e.
don't know what all that. Yeah, that's what you.
Yeah, I didn't use the e. I just times by 10 to the negative fifth.
But what button is that you push? Because every calculator is different. That's
This one.
Oh, I got it now. So we just need to put a timesing sign in between there.
Yeah.
Instead of just
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. So we did moles to grams yesterday. Now we're doing grams to moles today. We feel comfortable with this so far because we've only done 2-step problems. We're going to take a look at a 3-step problem now, because rather than going from grams to moles or moles to grams, you may go from grams to particles or grams to atoms. Okay? And you would see that on page 86. Okay? So there's a sample problem that you could read through on page 86, but the practice problem, as we see on page 86, is as follows. So 1, 2, or 3, which one do you want to look at? Number 1, it says how many moles of lead are in 1.50 times 10 to the 12th atoms of lead. Okay, so there's only one place that you can start, and that is with which number? Yep, your scientific notation number, 1.50 times 10, what was it, to the 7th, 12th. Okay, now that's atoms of what? Of lead. So this, okay? Now remember, this is step 1. This is a 3-step problem. Okay, so we're going to give ourselves a little more room. So in this case, we need to use Avogadro's number, okay? Which was what from 2 days ago? It's a constant. 6.022. It's this one right here. Now, that's measured in atoms, okay? So, in our second step, would atoms go on top or on the bottom? It would go on the bottom because we don't want atoms squared. We want them to cancel each other out. So we put atoms of lead, and that would be for every mole of lead. Okay? But we need to put a number there. That's where Avogadro's number goes into place. Okay? So what happens to these atoms of lead that we've illustrated yesterday and today? They cancel each other out. Okay? Now we're left with moles, but that's not what the question asked. It said how many grams are found in this many atoms. But once we get it to a mole, how can we cancel that out and get to our last step of grams? Oh, okay. We're done with that part. I thought it asked for grams. Okay. So once we've got to this step, we're left with moles of lead. You're done. Okay? I'm sorry, I thought this was a 3-step problem. There must be another section of Appendix E has those 3-step problems in there. Okay. Okay, and everyone punch this out and receive that. To the negative, I see some yeses. Okay? Okay, now, I know it's early. It's going to be later in your high school career, and it's really, really early in your college career. Should you be, the reason we say that, some of you are taking dual credits. Does that sound correct? So that means, yes, counts for high school, counts for college. So you're in your early stages of college as well. Some of you may be taking this class in 2 years. Okay? So with that, this is hopefully somewhat of an idea. You move pretty fast in college. It's going to seem like we're moving so fast right now, but it's because this information is brand new. Okay? So it's going to level off, and should you put the time in and ask questions when needed, you're going to be just fine. Okay? If you're having problems, please ask. Yes? It's something with the function of your calculator. I'm not familiar with that one. But you got it. You got it. Got the number sheet. Okay. So it's not your fault. We will get that figured out. Okay? Just takes me a little bit longer because I'm not familiar with that model. This is the one I'm most familiar with up on my desk. But up to this point, with the exception of some of us with the calculator we have, we'll get you straightened out. Left outside, are we good? Left middle, middle, right middle, right outside. Okay, so one last thing, then we'll get you on your way. For instance, if we had this compound, a little bit of a review. Okay, because some of these problems you're not given the compound. You need to write it out. So, the symbol for nickel is what? Ni. Okay, the symbol for the for chlorine or the chloride ion would be negative. Say that again. -1. Okay. So what's the charge of that nickel? If we remember from 2 years ago. Or, so what do you suppose that's telling you? +3. So these charges do not add up to 0. So what do we need to do with them? Find the least common multiple, which is what? Okay? So what's 3 divided by 3? We've got 1. What's 3 divided by 1? So how would you find the molar mass of nickel 3 chloride then? Yeah, 3 chlorines or chlorides and 1 nickel. So 35.45 is 1 chlorine, but you've got 3 of them, so you take it times 3. Okay, so one way of looking at it is 35.45. You either take it times 3, or you can just do one of these. So we've accounted for those 3. Now you just have the nickel that's left over, and that's 56, 58, or something like that. Okay, so 58 point, okay, then you just add all them together, because sometimes you're given a compound rather than an element. It's the same concept, but it's a compound instead of an element. Okay. When we look at what we have assigned, it says worksheet 1 and worksheet 2. It's not due tomorrow. Okay? It's not due Monday. So what that means is you've got time to work on that. Okay? Any questions on that? If not, are we good to go? Once, going twice. Hopefully we don't have a sour taste in our mouth. If we do, it's because this is new. That's the only reason. Okay? You're all in here for a reason. You're all capable of understanding this, providing we keep a positive attitude and keep moving forward. Catch up with you tomorrow.